Hello? Yeah, I'll tell him. Hey sinners, it's your fucking prophet speaking. God says that we actually came from her vagina, not Adam's rib. God wants us to address her as that bitch now in all prayers and legal documents. Did you know that John has a twink on the side? Olivia doesn't even know. Oh my god, I heard that they're swingers. She practically propositioned me in the church parking lot. Haven't gained an angel? More like
Hello, and welcome back to Pouty Mouth. This is the podcast where we mouth off about religion, politics, pop culture, and the systems that shaped us. I am your prophet and host, Tara. I'm an ex-Mormon, adoptee, and recovering good girl, and I'm so excited to get loud with you today. Today, we are covering a number of different topics, but I really wanted to get into this idea of men of God, and I say that with quotation marks, because what inspired this episode really was just, being chronically online and seeing what is going on in the United States and just, religion and politics in general. Because I do think that they go hand in hand. I don't think you can really talk about religion without talking about politics. You can't really talk about politics and leave out religion. So I wanted to get into some stories because I've been seeing some things and I have some videos that I'm going to share with you today because I am appalled and I am absolutely shocked by some of these things, and I shouldn't be, right? Like, I should be prepared for some of these things. Like, when things are going down in the Mormon corridor, and by Mormon corridor, I mean like Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, I'll kind of include, but like Arizona, Nevada, a little bit of California. The things that go on there are sometimes just like unbelievable to me. Unbelievable in the stance that, like, yeah, I get that like one person can do bad things, but it's shocking what constituents allow to happen and who they're voting in to be able to do these things and the people who they actually agree with. And so to start this episode off, I really just have to get into this Mormon news that I heard and dive in. We will be getting into also some listener submissions. There's not too many this time, but I do want to hear your thoughts about stories of men of God, acting incredibly ungodly or doing things and saying things in the name of God, which is wild. So let's get into it. Here's the first story. So let's get into it. This first story comes from a TikToker, and I've seen this all over Instagram and TikTok, and so I thought this would just give you a good breakdown into what's going on. Here we go.
J. Stewart Adams is pissed because we just found out how hard he works as a state Senate representative for Utah. What does he work so hard doing? At keeping his family out of prison. And he might have a bachelor's degree in business finance, but I tell you what, he knows the law. This senator knows the law so well that he just had it changed to keep his family member out of prison for what they did to a 13-year-old. Even the judge and the attorneys working this case were like, this never should have happened, except that the law was changed just in time for this 18-year-old who did something to a 13-year-old would have resulted in prison time and mandatory registration on the sex offenders list. But thanks to Adams, he walked out of court. That's right, 0 jail time besides what he served while waiting to go to trial. This went from a first-degree felony to a third-degree felony. He also doesn't have to register as an offender, even though he did this to a child. Even his fellow Republicans are like, wow, I can't believe you just did that, dude. Adams is like, what are you talking about? I'm just serving the people. If you feel like you've been served wrongly by this senator, this is some information you may want to know, because J. Stewart Adams didn't just keep his 18-year-old relative out of prison. He is now making sure future generations of people who are preying on children will get less jail time.
Should we place a bet that this person, his family member who raped this 13-year-old, is wanting to go on a mission and will probably go on a mission and will probably continue to go on and commit other heinous acts to other individuals? So wild, but also so Utah. I'm happy to hear that at least like his coworkers, is that what you call other senators, are upset by that. But like, I also feel like, isn't there more that you can do? Like, if it's one man who did all of this work to lobby and change these laws, can't you all go back and lobby to change them to something better? I don't think Utah is that great with its laws in general, but this is absolutely heinous, especially coming from the party that's like, protect all children, protect all children. And a church member who agrees with the transgender exclusion policy that came out with the Mormon church to protect children is why they said that policy came out, saying that in big quotation marks, because it's not protecting children. Again, white men are going to white men. I feel like nothing makes me rage more. I get it. Not all Mormon men are like this. Not all men are like this. We get it. We get it. But where are the ones that aren't like this standing up to this? That's what blows my mind. You know how horrible this is. The laws in Utah are already horrible. Speaking of, for example, the Michaela from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives married her husband, but at the time she got pregnant at 16 and he was 21. But the laws in Utah say, it's called the Romeo and Juliet law, that if a 16-year-old is within 5 years of somebody past the age of 18, then it's not against the law, like, for that to happen. So technically, her husband is not a pedophile in Utah's eyes, even though, she was 16, he was 21. Take that information with what you will. And so now that law has changed so that this person, it changed so it's not a felony. He got a misdemeanor for sleeping with a 13-year-old. Is that not crazy? And you think of all the child sexual assault that is already going on in Utah and within the Mormon church, this is going to make it way, way worse. At the same time that I saw that video, there was also this Mormon apologist woman that came out with her own video, and I wasn't going to play it because I just didn't want to give it like the views, but I feel like in this moment, I actually might play it.
Crazy, but when bishops are not required to report SA, more victims actually get help. It sounds backwards. You would think that more mandatory reporting laws would lead to more SA being reported. But what actually happens is that in states where clergy are mandated reporters, the system actually gets overwhelmed with false reports. Studies show that the total number of reported cases does often go up. However, fewer legitimate SA cases get through and the real victims get harder to find. Turns out that when a bishop's office is 100% confidential, victims and even perpetrators are more likely to open up. And when they trust that that conversation's safe, bishops have a better chance of persuading that person to self-report and get help before it's too late. I learned this at the FAIR conference from a lawyer who works directly on the church's abuse cases and showed that clergy penitent privilege is not about propping up institutions. It is always about protecting children. I know this is going to...
What? Oh my God. There's so much to dissect in that. So when it's not required, victims are more likely to get help. I don't know how that could not be more false. First of all, where's your proof in that? Because the Mormon church is not reporting its statistics on how much sexual assault is even going on. So where is your fucking proof in that? That's one that I don't understand. Are you getting these statistics from the Catholic Church? Are you getting these statistics from whatever? Either way, is these statistics from the Mormon church or not? Second of all, even if it means that the perpetrators are coming forward, why is the clergy not actually going out and reporting that afterwards? Even if we're just saying that, like, you know, this is actually better so that, like, the bishops can gain the trust of perpetrators and help them to actually get these things reported, they're still not reporting it. I just think that there's not enough even evidence, and I would highly want to actually see the evidence that that is true, especially coming from FAIR, which is like the church apologist, whatever. Like, I would want to see the evidence. Like, show me the numbers, show me the statistics that that is true. Because in the real world, and I love how we sometimes will pretend that like religion is, you know, higher than the real world. In the real world, those statistics don't exist. So is this just like an anomaly within the Mormon church? I don't know. But either way, trying to convince people that something that within regular society, when people are mandated reporters, that it actually does help with cases of child sexual assault or just assault in general actually helps, which it's proven to help, that it's not correct and like that we shouldn't want that is wild. I cannot think of any dumber thing. And the fact that like we just watched that from her actual page and gave her views pisses me off a little bit, but like it's just like one thing after the other with Mormonism when it comes to sexual assault. And then telling their members, actually, like, you shouldn't have the clergy report because it actually makes things a lot harder for the victims is wild. In the same week, bad PR. Like, I feel like the church at least should come out with something to be like, look, we don't fuck with those people. They did that with Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, but these other things that like get just as much news coverage, like the one that I just shared with you didn't, but the senator, that did get national news coverage. So, and they denounced Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and said that that is not aligned with like the church's standards and yada yada. But for a senator who changed laws, they're like, crickets. So wild. That's men and God for you, doing things so hypocritically and getting away with it, which is wild. I shared a story, and I've shared this story before. I just shared it on TikTok recently as well, of my mission president actually cheating with the stake young women's president on our mission. And cheating on his wife and even getting a house later on in Georgia to continue cheating on his wife. I guess he's now married. There's an update for you all. I had no idea that they actually got married. So wild. If you join the Discord, I will actually post the picture of his wedding announcement because it's so wild. And even another update, his daughter commented on my TikTok and was like, this isn't true. So I will say allegedly he cheated on his wife for all of those 10 years. I don't know what to believe because I also have from his nieces and some nephews sending me messages that it is actually true, and some worse stuff that I did not share at all they shared. So I don't know who to believe. Of course there's going to be like apologists on his side, and I'm not even saying like I think cheating is bad. Right? I think it's wrong. And I think that you should just get divorced before all of that. Like, I don't even think him marrying her is like bad at all. Like, I think you're allowed to get divorced. I think you're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to change. It's just the denial and the lies and trying to like make this story of like, oh, look, I'm such a good person still. Like, things just didn't work out. And like that fear of like not showing up as your authentic self and having to lie to all of us and trying to like spin this narrative and spin this story, that's what pisses me off. That's what makes me like angry to my core. It's like, just like fucking say that you messed up. We all mess up. So it's okay. Just like admit that. Stop trying to convince us that you're somehow better and somehow holier holding these positions of power when you're not. And actually, you've done really shitty things in the name of God and with this power. I've really gotten to the place where I know I come on here and I talk like, oh my gosh, like fuck this person or done this. But really, like when I'm having conversations with friends and family, I really, really do understand why some people enjoy religion. Not just like some, but a lot of people enjoy religion. I even enjoy talking about people's beliefs in God. And like, I love having conversations about mysticism and all of these things because I do think it's an innate part of human nature. What I don't enjoy is all people feeling like they can speak for God. If there is a God, I don't enjoy that. I don't think religion would have these hierarchies. I feel like religion has truly gotten to a place of just being this societal structure to continue to uphold this patriarchal dynamic. Does that even make sense? Like, it's just there to like stroke men's egos, and it's gotten to a point where it's like only the few at the top is the ego being stroked. But you have like men still in the name of God acting this way, portraying themselves this way as just like horrible, horrible people. Like, you are a horrible person. That senator is a horrible person for doing that. But they can still hold their temple recommend. I guarantee that he did not get his temple recommend taken away at all. Like, he's still going to the temple, still acting like he's such a great person, when what he has actually done is absolutely diabolical and absolutely against whatever moral code he proclaims to follow. And I guess in the case of Mormonism, that is, I don't know, kind of par for the course. But it's just crazy because they talked about how he also was on record saying, trying to get these trans students out of women's volleyball. And it's like, he talked about like, oh, we just need to protect like the girls. Then you do that? Like, I don't know how they sleep at night. That's the part that just like blows my mind. Anytime somebody tries to convert me back to Mormonism or just religion in general, it's just like, I have so many example after example of, I'm so much better than that guy. I am so much better than my mission president. I have never done anything that diabolical in my life, and I never will. Like, I just won't. Like, that's not who I am. And I think it's okay, like, at these points to just be like, no, I am better than this religion. And I am too good to be in this space, so I'm not going to be there. And I feel like this week, like, obviously you can tell, like, I'm crashing out and raging over this. But I just am like, so many times, like, when people are leaving religions or changing their political beliefs or affiliation, like, I know that there's like a time period where we just feel so bad. And it's not even just us that are feeling bad, but people are making us to feel bad, right? Like, whether that's our parents, our friends, our relatives, like trying to convince us to stay by continuing to push down our self-esteem and telling us that, you know, life is not going to be better for you outside of this religion or this bubble that we've had you grow up in. And I just think, again, anyone even pressuring you to stay in something when you're telling them that, like, this isn't for me is a shitty fucking person. And you are better than that. You are better than them because you would never do that. Like, even my friends who stay in Mormonism, I would never, ever, ever tell them that, like, oh, you should leave Mormonism or you should do this. Like, they know that, like, yeah, I make content and I talk to people and I want to be able to talk about these different dynamics and these different issues, but I would never tell them that, like, their life would be better if they left Mormonism, and I, like, know better than them for how their life should go. That's like, even the whole idea of a prophet. I don't know how you don't have a huge ego and are not a shitty person proclaiming to speak and be the mouthpiece for God of how this entire group of people should act. Like, I don't understand it anymore at this point. And that was a point when, for me, going to the women's conference is something that we used to do in Mormonism. You would go and, like, you'd listen to all, like, the General Release Society talk, and then, of course, like, the prophet has to have the last word. And I just remember, like, listening and, like, being like, I just, like, need him to say something that's, like, gonna keep me in Mormonism and, like, know that, like, God is real and that, like, God sees me. And he just, like, went on and on about how women, like, are naturally mothers and, like, we just have this innate sense and, like, are born to be mothers. And I was like, you fucking don't know me. It was like it clicked in that moment that, like, you don't know me. You don't know me. And how could you possibly know me? How could you possibly know my wants, needs, and desires? You are just one man. You have never had a child in your life. Sure, you've made a shit ton, but you've never had a child in your life. And how do you think I could never in my life think to go to a man and tell him about his experience as being a man and what is going to make him happy as a man, me being a woman. I could not. The fucking audacity that would take. And the fact that my whole life that I listen to these men, it still blows my mind. And so when I hear stories again, like my mission president and that senator doing these things, I'm just like, yeah, because they're fucking shitty people. Like, those are not people that we should be looking up to. This is not a religion that gives a shit about you. It's about the big dogs on top. That's it. And even the men at the bottom of this are taking a lot of hits. And I just don't understand anymore. Like, I think it just takes, again, like mental gymnastics for people to be able to stay in that. And I'm an equal opportunity hater. I said that. And also the girl talking about how women shouldn't report. Fuck you too. You're a horrible person in the name of God, in the name of religion. Like, there's fucking horrible men of God, and then there's the pick-me women. And I say this as someone who has been a pick-me woman for the church and for men alike everywhere. I used to feel so scared to like talk bad about men because I'd be like, oh, but not all men. But now it's like the men who are good men don't give a fuck when you're talking about bad men, right? Like, they don't care. They know that, like, that's not me. That's just like a shitty guy. And the women who continue to like uphold and uplift this power, give these people power, are in the same category to me. And I will be honest, when it comes to women, if I call like a woman a bitch or a cunt, I feel like it's like fair game. Kind of like when you're like talking about your sister and you're like, she's such a bitch. But as soon as somebody else does it, or like a man does it, I'm like, you better fucking watch your mouth. That's how I feel about when talking about women. Because I know, like, feminism, I'm still trying to work out feminism. Like, I'm still trying to work, because like I think a lot of stuff that I've been watching is like mostly white feminism, so I'm reading hood feminism. Anyways, that's a tangent. When it comes to women, I feel like there's nobody better to critique women than women, and I think men should stay out of critiquing women. Is that a hot take and hypocritical? Which I never said I wasn't a hypocrite. I will admit every fucking time to being a hypocrite. And that is the difference between me and these men of God. I will say that I'm also an equal opportunity religious hater, which brings me to our next video that I need you all to perk up your ears and listen to this one, because it's wild. Like,
Women are the kind
this
of
is
people
wild.
People come out of.
So you just think they're meant to have babies? That's
well,
it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically. The wife and mother, who is the chief executive of the home, is entrusted with 3 or 4 or 5 eternal souls.
I'm here as a working journalist, and I'm a mom of 3.
Good for you.
Is that an issue?
No, no, it's not automatically an issue.
Christchurch senior pastor Doug Wilson is the leader of a Christian nationalist movement that believes in a patriarchal society where men are dominant and women are expected to submit to their husbands. Josh and Amy Prince, along with their 4 kids, moved from Washington State to Moscow, Idaho, where Wilson's movement is based.
Do you see Amy as your equal?
Yes and no, in the sense that we're both saved by grace. We're absolutely on equal footing, but we have very different purposes, God-given.
But do you see yourself as the head of the household, as the man?
He is the head of our household.
Yes.
Yes, and I do submit to him.
So like moving here was
ultimately
your decision.
Yes.
That's a great
example.
Wilson says in his vision of a Christian society, women as individuals shouldn't be able to vote. His fellow pastors Jared Longshore and Toby Sumter agree.
In my ideal society, we would vote as households. And I would ordinarily be the one that would cast the vote, but I would cast the vote having discussed it with my household.
But what if there's your wife doesn't want to vote for the same person as you?
Right. Well, then that's a great opportunity for a good discussion.
There are some who have gone so far as to say that they want the 19th Amendment repealed.
I would support that. And I'd support it on the basis that the atomization that comes with our current system is not good for humans.
And Wilson, a veteran himself, is unapologetic about his view that women shouldn't be in certain leadership or combat roles.
Looking at the leadership page for Christ Church, it's all men. Do you accept women in leadership roles in the church and in government?
In the church, no.
Why?
Because the Bible says not to.
Well, that's not what happens in the Bible. Women do lead all the time.
Progressive faith leader Reverend Jennifer Butler is concerned about Wilson's growing influence.
He is rapidly gaining in power. He has hundreds of churches established around the country. They actually literally want to take over towns and cities, and they have access to this administration.
Wilson's highest level connection to the administration is Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
It's not organizationally tied to us, but it's the kind of thing we love to see.
For his part,
God.
Now we're standing on the shoulders.
Why? Fuck those guys too. Pastor Wilson. Like, Christian nationalism, I will never get behind it. You know, people are always like, why do people like always bash Christians? Like, Christians get so much hate. And it's like, maybe if you fucking spoke up against this kind of Christian nationalist shit, we all wouldn't have such a chip on our shoulder against self-proclaimed Christians in general, because that's fucking wild. Yes, we should appeal the 19th Amendment, the right for women to vote. I would actually agree with that. Of course you fucking would, Todd. Of course you would. God. I just don't understand, like, really the amount of, like, ego, narcissism, whatever you want to call it, whatever the fuck is wrong with people that it takes to, like, really have those views, and for the woman, like, the wife to be like, yeah, like, I just submit to him, like, is wild. I will say, from experience of being in Dubai, there was a moment there that I was like, this is so nice. That I was like, would I be willing to give up my rights for this? To just go shopping every day and yada yada. And it's a maybe. I'll be honest, guys. It's a maybe. I'm not saying that I would sell out that quick, but I would need to see, like, how much shopping do I get to get done? Like, what does my day consist of? How many nannies do I get? I might sell out. I'm kidding. But if the offer does come on the table, I will immediately stop this podcast and 100% put on that full hijab and go full force, just so you guys know. Anyways, I want to see these people's day-to-day lives. I think that's what's so interesting about Mormon influencers in general, is that their day-to-day lives really are pretty awesome. And I will say, again, as somebody who now has a full-time nanny, a full-time house cleaner, access to things that make it so I have more time to do the things that I want to do, I can understand why it would be easy to stay within Mormonism or this Christian nationalist church cult thing. Cult. Can we just call it a cult? Like, can we just not mince words? This cult, I can see why people want to stay in, because the more money you have and the more power you have within that, or just the more ability to be like, oh, I don't really need to follow these rules, the easier I think it is to stay in these kind of things. Like, I cannot believe that there are women. I just like want to see what they are getting in return. And you guys saw the men. If you're watching this and you saw what they look like, if you're listening, go and watch on YouTube or Spotify. But like, they're pretty ugly, guys. Like, the wife was a lot better looking than the husband, and so the guys are pretty ugly. So I'm not putting that past them that they could be really good in bed, and maybe that is why the women stay. I don't know. But they weren't giving big dick energy. And even if I don't think that you have to have a big dick now, don't go and snap this. Don't clip this. I don't think that you have to have a big dick to be good in bed. I just simply mean the energy of like being good in bed, right? Of like feeling that. Because they definitely think they are all of that. But I think that I don't understand why these women are staying. I'm like, maybe it's that. They didn't look like they had a lot of money. Like, they weren't dressing like it, which is the downside, I will say, for this Christian cult versus the Muslim cult in Dubai, because they are buying expensive luxury things like that. I get. I'm like, okay, girl, you got your fucking nice BMW, your G-Wagon. You also are just going to like Van Cleef and Prada and all these places all day, and you're just like taking your nanny and like enjoying life. So yeah, maybe it would be worth it to be in 100-degree weather with like 70% humidity, dress like that, if you had all this nice stuff. Just saying. I'm just saying that maybe it would be worth it. But I don't understand. I don't understand the appeal of Moscow, Idaho. As someone who lived in Pocatello, it's a no. It's a no for me. And yeah, I mean, it's named after, I guess Moscow's nice in Russia, but I was just going to say Russia in general. I don't know. I'm not going to knock on Russia because I'm in Kyrgyzstan, close to Russia, basically ran by Russia still. I mean, president's really in his pocket, and I know he's probably listening to this right now. Please let me stay in Kyrgyzstan. I think that I don't understand the appeal. So that's where they've like created their little compound. I wasn't sure. I didn't really catch like whether that was like the headquarters of their church or like they're in a compound, little cult, like Branch Davidian style, which wild. It's so wild. Like in the United States, it's like when things like end badly in cults, it's always not until the end that they are like, yeah, this is actually a cult. It's because basically like when it comes to religion, you can just do whatever the fuck you want. Like there needs to be some more regulation on that just in general because it's wild. It blows my mind how they can just do whatever they want. I'm going to show you one more video, and then we're going to get into some of the submissions about your thoughts on some men of God and some stories that you have.
Atheists will go to heaven.
So I want you to know it is worse being an atheist because you are not going to heaven.
Wait. So I'm an atheist. So you think I'm worse than Hitler?
I think that where you're going is worse than where I don't know if Hitler's going to heaven.
No. We didn't talk about where we're going. I just asked you what's worse, being an atheist or being Hitler. You said atheist, so I'm an atheist. Hitler was like surprisingly a German like Christian. That's what he claimed. Now this means that you think I'm worse than Hitler, right?
I think that where you are going, you are damned to hell, and I think that is worse than being Hitler. I 100% would take my chances on living Hitler's life than saying I'm a profound atheist and I think that there's no God. Hitler.
I have a question.
Would you say that?
I have a question. Hypothetically, would you be open? Like, okay, I'm trying to find a way to say this without it mean like, okay, this is a hypothetical question. Would you be open to getting dinner with me?
Open to getting dinner with you?
Yeah. Would you eat dinner with me? Would you eat dinner and talk to me? Have conversation with me?
I mean, I would 100 if my husband was there 100%, yeah.
Right. So I just want to clarify, if I'm worse than Hitler and you would be open to getting dinner with me, sitting down and having conversation with me, does this mean that you would be more open to get dinner with, sit down and have conversation with Hitler?
So are you asking me, do I think you're more of a threat than Hitler? Is that what you're asking?
I know you've already confirmed that you think I'm worse than him.
I think where you're going is worse than him. That never came out of my mouth. I think being an atheist, living an atheist, you just said.
Okay. So would you rather me genocide 12 million people or be an atheist?
You want me to? Okay, I'm going to answer that question in the simplest way. I look biblically, spiritually. All I care about is where you're going, Dean. And I pray to God that one day that you can change that view of being an atheist and saying, I don't believe in God. Okay,
but this isn't answering my question.
Okay. Would I rather you kill tens of thousands of people or be an atheist?
12 million.
I would rather you kill 10,000s of people because there was a man, Paul, in the scriptures that murdered tens of thousands of people. And then he said, I believe that our God is our Yahweh. He's our Savior. And guess where he's going? Heaven. Paul killed tens of thousands of people, cut their heads off.
So I just want to clarify that you're crazy. I just want to make it incredibly clear that you're insane.
So then you're saying the Holy Bible is crazy because it literally says a man killed tens of thousands of people.
Actually,
and then
if it's the case that you're just merely echoing the teachings of the Scripture, then I am saying that the Holy Bible is insane. I absolutely am. So
that's your view.
That should be the view of any reasonable human alive, because you just affirmed that you think you just told over like 25,000 people, because we have 21,000 people on TikTok, we have 3,000 people over on YouTube. You just told us all that you would rather me be a Hitler 2.0 and genocide 12 million people than me be an atheist.
Right, and there were people in the scriptures that genocided people and then were forgiven by God.
You know that God himself actually commanded genocide?
Yes, so what you're asking me which one I would prefer you do? I would prefer you kill tens of thousands of people and then accept God than profound and say, I'm an atheist.
So if you could
100%.
snap your fingers right now and prevent Hitler from ever committing the Holocaust, but it meant he was an atheist for the rest of your life, would you do it?
I would 100% rather Hitler go to heaven. 100%.
So you wouldn't snap your fingers?
Are you asking me to prevent 10,000s of death or prevent one death? I would prevent tens of thousands of death. If you're asking me,
I'm merely just asking you.
Go to heaven or hell? I would rather Hitler go to heaven.
Holy shit! You know, wow. I think it's funny. That I actually don't think it's funny at all. I don't even know where I was going with that. I'm gonna stop talking. I actually don't think it's funny at all. What the fuck? Like, I think that, like, this is obviously very sick, grotesque shit.
So
no, allow me to finish speaking.
Sick and grotesque.
I think that this is very sick. I think that this is otherworldly. And I think that you're actively doing more harm to the faith.
In Mormonism, with baptisms for the dead and like doing the work for the dead, they've done Hitler's work apparently multiple times, trying to save him so that he could go to heaven. Wild, diabolical stuff. And I feel like this is the type of stuff and the type of thinking that continues to let people get away with child sexual abuse and rape, and really just supports all of these fucked up ways of thinking. I think a lot of times when I was Mormon and like teaching people it as a missionary and trying to like get them to convert to Mormonism, you know, they would tell us all this horrible stuff that's going on in their lives. Horrible. As we're asking them, like, can you please quit your job on Sunday? I know you won't be able to like feed your kids or keep a roof over your head, but like God will be happy and he'll provide a way. Like, I can't believe that we did that, all in the name of eternal blessings versus their temporal needs. And now I just think that that is like such a great sales pitch to get somebody to believe that so that they will join your church. Like, it's so easy to get people to believe in, not so easy. It's so easy to sell a product when all that there is somebody's imagination. Like, the product is somebody's just like made up thing that they come up with in their head, but we will never know the end results of that. And I'm not saying that like it's not worth it to work hard at something that you don't know what the end results might be, because I think a lot of us do that every day, right? Whether you're going to college or like you decide that you want to have kids, like you don't know what like the results are going to be in the future. So it's not to say like I'm the type of atheist that like thinks that like, oh, it's so stupid that like you believe in any different beliefs and believe in any religion. I don't think that, right? I just think that there's people who use their religion as a tool to better themselves and better society and, again, just like make things better. And then there's people who actively do harm, and it's harming themselves, it's harming society, it's harming their kids, and the refusal to see that and to open up their eyes to that is what pisses me off, because I don't think it has to be one or the other. I don't think that you have to be atheist to be like, this is wrong and I don't agree with this, or this is what I think we could do to like better life and better the world. I don't think that you have to be former religious. I think you can do that. I think you can do that now. But I think that there is something that happens within religion, and high demand religion specifically, like Christian nationalism and Mormonism, that stops this. And that's where I think it leans into more of a cult, right? Because why do you have to toe this line so perfectly? And why can't you speak your truth, speak your beliefs, and stand up for what you believe in and the things that you want out of life? I will never understand that anymore. I can't believe I did that to myself for all of those years, pushed my own feelings down and pushed my own thoughts and what I thought was right and my conscience to continue to serve this corporation. It never makes sense. And the Bible has got to be the worst, absolute worst example and justification of things. The things that go on in the Bible are fucked up. And I really appreciate the Christians who, take the good from the Bible and are like, still like, this is what I believe, but obviously I don't know if it's true. And like, don't try to use the Bible to control people and to like, force their narrative. I really, really appreciate that. But if you deny that there are things within the Bible that are so fucked up and so absolutely just like diabolical, I can't get on board because I can't see it from that point of view. I think that in religion in general, like, yeah, you should take the good and kind of leave the bad. And it's so interesting to like hear pastors who are like, I don't know, actually good people. Actually people who I'm like, okay, like this is like not a horrible like cult or whatever. They're just simply people who are like, just like want to share this message and like how this has changed my life. I can get on board with that. I'm not going to join that church. I'm not going to join that religion, but like it's a church, I would go to with my friend and be like, hey, I appreciate this. I appreciate that this person is coming as not being the mouthpiece for God, like the prophet, but simply having had gone to school, learned about some of this stuff, not some of it, did all of this work to become a pastor and wants to lead a congregation and feels like it's going to uplift people's lives and wanting to make that community. I can understand that. The rest of it, I just can't get on board with. Like, I cannot believe her response of like, yes, because Hitler like is going to be saved because he was a Christian. Well, if it's that fucking easy, God, I can be saved. I guess I believe in Jesus Christ. What does she think then about? It's probably a little anti-Semitic when it comes to the Jews, since they don't believe in her Jesus Christ, which is not okay. Let's get into your submissions about your run-ins with men of God. In my youth, our bishop was convicted of child sexual abuse. That included everything you can imagine. There were members of the ward that supported him all the way through his prison term, including his wife. When he came back to church, people still referred to him as bishop because they thought so highly of him. The victim was only a couple years older than me at the time. He totally destroyed her life, and she went on to have some horrible experiences in and out of the church. I remember how beautiful she was, and I thought how brave she was to show up and face it all. She absolutely left as soon as she could and never returned. Good for her. That guy was a piece of shit and was arrogant and proud all the way to his deathbed. Fuck him and the Mormon church. Wow. The fact that like he went to jail, came back to church, the fact that he was loud in the church building after being convicted of child sexual abuse is absolutely wild. But it just goes to show that the fact that people were still calling him bishop, that they probably didn't even believe it. Even after him getting convicted. And that is some freaking strong groupthink, if you ask me. Very strong. Next one says, not leading the home as a traditional priesthood holder has caused my wife to lose respect for me. I have been in a mixed faith marriage for several years and have had a difficult time finding the balance of supporting my wife with the church things and getting walked on or disrespected. Even though I don't believe in the LDS church, I regularly tend to support my wife and keep the peace in the marriage. There's a small part of me that enjoys the community the church offers, but certainly would never step foot into a chapel if it wasn't for my wife. Because I no longer set the traditional LDS male role model for my boys. One is getting closer to missionary age. I feel like my wife looks down on me as a man. I've mentioned this to her, and she assures me that as long as I'm a good person and a good example for the kids, she doesn't care if I exercise the priesthood and still loves me anyway. I know she wants me to take her to the temple, teach the kids the LDS religious concepts, have an important calling, but I just can't be that for her. Even though I attend church, service calling, and pray as a family, I feel it's not enough to earn her respect. A few years ago, I accepted a somewhat prestigious church calling, and my wife immediately seemed to be more attracted to me. She treated me better and instantly showed me more affection and respect. It was so weird to me how that little thing changed our interactions so drastically. I believe I'm a great dad and husband, but it might not be enough in the long run. I have a good job, help the kids with homework, support my wife and kids in achieving their goals, help them earn income running their own businesses, help around the house, etc. But it may just not be enough in the long run. Wow. The fact that he like talks about feeling the differences, I do feel like there's like women out there that don't respect a man unless he is the traditional sense of the role man, which I feel really bad for. Like, I think that just like women, I feel like are allowed to show up. However, I think men are too. And it sucks that like she feels like she respects him more. It sucks that he feels that way. But if it is true that like I feel like his boys unfortunately like are going to feel that way too. Like I feel like there is still a lot of pressure on men to be a certain way, act a certain way within the Mormon church, and they need to stick to that role, you know, of earning money and holding a calling and putting their family to the side. But I feel like bad that she doesn't see that, like, you know, this may be better, that he's actually there for them, you know? Back in high school, okay, here's the next one. Back in high school, I was being sexually harassed and stalked by a boy in my early morning seminary class. The ward was very small, so there was only 5 or 6 of us in total. I felt super uncomfortable going to class because he would often pop out of dark corners to scare me or would be waiting for me in the parking lot before and after class. Eventually, he got a hold of my phone number and started sending me nude pictures and text messages about all the things he'd like to do with me. For what I thought were obvious reasons, I stopped going to seminary. After about a month, my bishop pulled me into his office after church and asked why I had stopped going to seminary. By this point, things had progressed further, and I was now being followed around at school, and he was showing up at my job. He even cornered me in the girls' bathroom on one occasion and tried to put his hands in my pants. I decided to tell my bishop about all of it, hoping he would be able to do something to help me or at least say something to this kid, as I was too afraid and embarrassed to talk to my parents about it. Not only did he not do or say anything to that little creep, he proceeded to tell me that what was happening was not a good enough reason to jeopardize my salvation and my relationship with God, and that I would need to go through the repentance process and stop taking the sacrament for a while because I had been engaging in sexual inappropriate behavior. What? I was absolutely floored, to say the least. The kicker is the boy continued to pass the sacrament every week for the entire time I was in the ward, even after my conversation with the bishop. You are fucking kidding me. My God. And to go back to that little church apologist talking about, like, see, this is better. What the fuck? Because fuck that little creeper who's doing that to her. And obviously, this didn't help the girl who was being sexually harassed at all to not have the bishop be a mandatory reporter. Because are you kidding me? That she was engaging in sexually inappropriate behavior, is what he said. As this boy is stalking her? No, ma'am. Absolutely not. Like, I wish that... Here's my idea of heaven, guys. Here's my idea of heaven. Every little fucker like this, all of us just get to line them up and just, like, repeatedly kick them in the balls. That's my idea of heaven. And I am Tara Herbert, and I approve this message. Thank you. Are you kidding me? I cannot tell you the number of stories that I have heard from women, from men, who have been assaulted and they get the blame and have to freaking not take the sacrament. and face that embarrassment and shame as well. Fuck the creep and fuck that bishop. And I hope you fucking rot in hell and die. The next one says, it's a quote, says, "I prophesy that you will die of AIDS." That's what a local bishop said to me in an interview when I told him I was gay. I was new to the ward and this was our first and only discussion. The fuck? Why are bishops the way that they are? Like, what? Meanwhile, the bishop is over there chugging 32-ounce Sodalicious or swig every single day of the week, morbidly obese, and going to die of heart disease. But you being gay prophesies that you will die of AIDS. I would simply say, I prophesy that you're a fucking cunt. That's my prophecy for you. Because we kidding? God. One of the best friends, one of my best friend's dad was my bishop for years when I was a youth. My parents had divorced, so I really looked up to him as he was smart and successful. When we were a little older, my friend told me how his dad was sometimes physically abusive towards him. He had also read his dad's journal at one point, and this guy was convinced he was eventually going to be the next prophet. Doesn't every Mormon man? Doesn't everyone? Don't they all? Tell me something new. Because why is that the thought? That's like another thing is like how they're like, you should not aspire to want to hold a position within the church because like that is ungodly. And I think that goes against every bit of human nature. And because the church is run like a corporation and there's so much rampant nepotism, why not aspire? And the fact that he was secretly beating his kids while wanting to be the next prophet, it's giving Brigham Young. So I don't know. Maybe. Was this guy Elder Oaks? If you don't know, Elder Oaks is in line to be the next prophet and is a real dickwad. This next one says, I was a part of a group called MWEG, Mormon Women for Ethical Government. One of the women was saying that her bishop considered not renewing her recommend because she had attended the Women's March after Trump was elected. Several women in the group were flabbergasted. What? Not renewing her recommend? There is a temple question talking about asking if you're affiliated with any groups that oppose the Mormon church. And if you used to agree with like gay marriage, that could get like your temple recommend taken away, which is probably like the basis that he's going off of like, oh, this is like not a good group, but it's Mormon Women for Ethical Government. What is wrong with that? What the fuck is wrong with that? Because she attended a women's march against Trump? Is Trump some Mormon daddy that you have to follow now in order to get your recommend? God, things are getting out of control. My God, I need like literally a Xanax, like 20 Prozac. This is why I'm acting this way. I have felt better, so I've stopped taking Prozac, but maybe after this episode, maybe I should get back on it. And I just, while we're on the note of mental health, I just want to say, I get comments all the time from active Mormons saying that like mental health issues, daddy issues, and it's just like, yeah, and like I don't know what is dumber than a person who obviously has mental health issues telling another person that they have mental health issues and you're just in denial of your mental health issues. Like, go fuck yourself, Kevin. Good God. Like I'll never get it. I'll never get it. Like, you're telling me I have mental health issues. Well, first of all, what is even wrong with mental health issues? You have to have mental health issues, some sort of health issues to be a part of any religion. It is literally just a band-aid. It's like my marijuana. That's what religion is just quite literally a doobie. Religion is a doobie. Quote of the day. We've run out of time, so the rest of these I will post in the Discord channel. Thank you so much for being here with me and listening to me fucking mouth off about all of the weird fucking shit going on this day in religion, in politics. You've been listening to Pouty Mouth, hosted by me, Tara Herbert. If you want to be a part of the next episode, check the show notes for how to send in a voice memo or listener story. And don't forget, rate, review, and share this with your hot, angry friends. See you next week, babes.
Hello? Yeah, I'll tell him. Hey sinners, it's your fucking prophet speaking. God says that we actually came from her vagina, not Adam's rib. God wants us to address her as that bitch now in all prayers and legal documents. Did you know that John has a twink on the side? Olivia doesn't even know. Oh my god, I heard that they're swingers. She practically propositioned me in the church parking lot. Having gained an angel, more like hell gained a bitch.